Hello, everybody, and welcome to another evening of Ori. Starting us off is going to be EloJimmini versus Vulajin. This is a very highly anticipated matchup. I think probably the most anticipated matchup this weekend. What do you know about these guys, Het?
Yeah, so Vulajin and EloJimmini, their PBs are only 20 seconds apart, and their sum of bests are only 12 seconds apart, so they look to be some pretty evenly matched players here.
Yeah, that's for sure. This one's very unpredictable. Vulajin was first seed when these groups were formed, but since then, EloJimmini has taken first in terms of PB by bopping him by those 20 seconds. And since their sum of bests are both so far below their PBs, we could easily see either of them just pull off a crazy run and get a 32 or a 33 here. And also to note is that their first races, relative to their best times, didn't go particularly well, so there's a fair bit of spaghetti for both of them in those races. So really the victor here is going to be the guy who can get the spaghetti under control and just put out a solid run.
Yeah, I think the name of the game is going to be not choking in the late game, since I don't think either of these runners will likely pull too far ahead of each other in the early mid game. Most likely have a similar movement.
Yeah, both their early games are really quite good. In real time, the SRL race is counting down, so we'll be going live really soon. We did note that Vulajin was feeling like EloJimmini would take the lead early on, but Vulajin's early game is quite good, so I'm not so sure that's actually going to happen, or if that's just him being a little modest. Alright, so Vulajin started off. Since EloJimmini is across the ocean from us, we'll just have a little bit of a pause here on Vulajin's side while we get things synced up, and then we'll be off to the races. There we go.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this match will pretty much determine more or less who comes out of the group first and second seed, right?
Yeah, it would be very surprising for them to drop their other match. Each of them has only played one match, which they won. This is the real toss-up, and then their remaining matches are against players with considerably slower times than them. So this is pretty much the 1 and 2 battle, and the most hotly contested 1 and 2 battle amongst all the groups, I believe. We've seen several upsets. I think Bernhold beating Raziel, Epicat beating Roos, and, well, I guess to some extent, the Terra Trojan one was pretty up in the air. Trojan did win that, being the first seed in the group coming in, but since then Terra has passed his PB by a significant margin, so Terra's second in that group despite having a high PB. So there's some really interesting stuff happening in the groups. If I'm not mistaken, that happened in one other group as well, but it didn't quite come to me just now. they both missed a shot in the Frankie fight in exactly the same way, and we're looking right now at a frame tie.
Very nice.
So we see a little bit of a divergence early on. Vulajin's opting for the damage boost through the Bramble to set up his health for Ghost Door. Jimmini opts to not damage boost. Now, interestingly enough, he missed the jump all the way over the Bramble, which is a pretty tricky jump, so lost a little bit of time on that. Vulajin had a worse jump pad and flubs the jump to the mushroom, so maybe a little bit of race nerves for Vulajin. That's a bit of an odd jump to miss right off the top.
Yeah, it's a pretty rare jump to miss, and it's really annoying when it happens.
Yeah, that's for sure. If I'm doing a PB attempt and I miss that jump, I mean, I don't care if you only lose like 2 seconds on that, I'll instantly reset.
Yeah. In rare cases, when you're turning around there, you can get vaulted over the edge, and it completely screws everything up.
So another difference we're going to note between these two runners is Jimmini only takes 3 health. He believes in saving that 8 seconds and going risky in the late game. So the most significant portion of this is going to be early on, he's not going to have as much health in Blackroot and in the Death Run, so those parts are going to be scarier for him. And in Misty, he will get one shot by spikes, whereas Vulajin takes the detour for the fourth health, so he'll have a little bit more safety earlier on. Honestly, Vulajin's wall jump looks a little shaky to me, missing the experience out of that mushroom. Maybe just trying to shake some of the nerves or rust off. I know he was quite nervous about this match, saying like, you know, having trouble eating today and stuff like that. So he really wants to win this one and put his best foot forward. So hopefully he gets things under control. Although that said, if I'm not mistaken, Vulajin actually took a pre-wall jump death in this tournament in one of his races, but I'm not 100% sure that that happened. So this could be me just being a little crazy.
You can see EloJimmini frantically moving his mouse cursor around. I think this is a clear indication that he's going to get 7th try door warp.
You heard it from Het. That's the truth. So 7th try door warp, we'll keep that one in mind. Vulajin a little bit behind because of a bit of spaghetti early game and taking the 4th health, but it's not anything that a death won't change. Now note that before we started this tournament, we did run a questionnaire asking about certain optional tricks that exist throughout this run, and Vulajin says he's going to go for every single one of them except for Fast Frankie Walk, because nobody in their right mind would go for that. And EloJimmini only listed Fast Stompless among those, but that questionnaire is quite old at this point, so I would not be surprised to see him going for the early Grotto cycle, and probably not listing Kuro Cutscene on Skip on there was just an oversight, I would say.
Yeah, like half of those tricks are tricks that you don't lose time going for, like early Grotto Crushers and Kuro Cutscene Skip. Like, there's no point not going for those. You don't lose time trying them. Not really, anyway.
Yeah, as long as you don't take that tragic corner crush death, which I don't think we've actually seen yet in this tournament, but trust me, it does exist.
Yeah.
Alright, so Jimmini boasting a 13-second lead entering Blackroot here. 8 seconds of that is the health cell, 5 seconds of that just due to movement up to wall jump. So Vulajin keeping pace since then. His Glade's sort of re-traversal was good and looking good in Blackroot so far. This is the most terrifying part of Blackroot, in my opinion, that Jimmy's going through right now. And it looks pretty clean, not getting hit by any of the shots. And he has a nice laser cycle going up, so he can just ride these platforms all the way, and he'll be good on the good platform cycle. Vulajin now going through the same terrifying shooting spike lantern part. Looks like he's good too. Actually, really quick. He has to wait at the bottom for the lasers to get out of his way, but he's on the same cycle as Jimmini here, so keeping pace very nicely.
Yeah, both of them easily making the optimal cycle there with time to spare.
Now, I didn't see their experience counts entering Blackroot here, but one thing to note is because you have so much time on that cycle, if your experience count is low or low enough that you could possibly accept killing a third slime without leveling up early, then you might as well kill the guy before the lanterns, because it speeds up your level up at the end of the Frankie Walk. I think Vulajin's experience is too high for that, because he leveled up on the way out of wall jump, but I'm not sure what Jimmini's is at. Or if he did kill him and I just completely missed it.
I don't think either of them killed that slime.
Alright, so let's see. Medium speed orb drop from Jimmini. That's completely random, nothing you can do about it. See if the RNG gods are kind to Vulajin and give him a second to catch up, or take a second away. Let's see, how's this orb drop? Terrible. Alright, they take a second away. I believe you once said that this split was entirely that orb drop.
Yeah. I mean, barring movement mistakes coming out of wall jump, and depending on how your menuing is and how aggressive you are with the cycle manipulation, those things are all going to be pretty consistent every time. So that orb drop tends to be the largest variance in the split, in my opinion, at least.
EloJimmini went for a dash through the slime and didn't get it. Vulajin also went for it and didn't get it. That dash is very tricky to get him to knock you forwards through him. I actually don't even know how to do it. How do you do that hit?
It's similar to laser dashing. You just need to end up on the other side of the middle of his hitbox. And it's really
precise
finicky.
positioning. Yeah. I've got to practice those sometime. I got to shave off these seconds somehow. So both players on the Frankie Walk now, as expected, neither going for fast Frankie Walk. I don't think their experience setups are even good for it. We'll note the timing of the level up here. So Jiminy gets the experience and levels up. I think Vulajin will gain a few frames here by leveling up a little bit faster since he leveled on the way out of wall jump. Let's see. That was actually pretty similar, so I don't know what I'm talking about. Vulajin's going to dunk this Frankie. It's one of his favorite strats. I copied that from him because I like that strat too. And now Jiminy is going to be coming up on early Grotto Cycle, so we'll see if he goes for it. I imagine he will, but I'm not 100% sure whether or not he has gone for the setup. Let's see. Oh, he's going for it. Yeah, that's the setup. And, that was close.
His first dash was a little far forward. The way that works is that somewhere along those horizontal crushers,
Vulajin got it. So
nice. So that almost ties them up.
Yeah, that catches up exactly the 8 seconds that he spent getting the health cell, and looks like movement here and there has caught him up a little bit more. I know he had 5 extra seconds. Oh, okay. I mean, that works. Vulajin was trying to die to the spider shot, kind of got surprised that he missed it, and then just dashed over into the spikes. It's an interesting little way to do that there. So yeah, we're now 1 second apart coming into double jump. Both players going for the blind movement here. Vulajin struggling with the menu, but he gets through, so a little bit of time, a little bit of breathing room for Jiminy, but really not that much.
Yeah, one thing we haven't mentioned yet, but you may have noticed, is that EloJimmini is playing on keyboard and mouse while Vulajin is playing on controller. So there will be some subtle differences in the way they do menuing and bashing later on.
Yeah, Vulajin is the sort of hybrid type player. He will switch to keyboard mouse for certain parts of the game, namely save anywheres. So he did it at the entrance to Blackroot. He's going to do it at the Spirit Tree and at the Sunstone, but not the degree of hybrid player that Terra or somebody like that is. Vulajin having a little bit of trouble with Grotto Skip there. Wow, that didn't get up there. Okay, there we go.
There were 2 times there where he got the difficult jump off the ledge, but then didn't hit right quickly enough in the air to slow his movement down to catch the top there. So something off with his muscle memory there. So he was able to get the precise part on his
it
first
still looks
try.
a little nervous to me, just a bit from Vulajin. I think it's settled down. Like, he got Grotto Skip, that felt good, but just like something, he didn't get that rekindle at the top, I guess, so he's got to watch the cutscene. Good choice not to exit the game and then have to watch the cutscene anyways, though.
Yeah, that's true.
So Vulajin almost managed to even things up at double jump. Jiminy pulled ahead a little bit, just off of a couple mistakes from Vulajin, but they're still very, very close to each other. And note that Vulajin does still have 4 health, so the difference between them is basically just a little bit more than that health cell costs. So definitely a very close race at the moment. Jiminy coming up to this ability cell before Ginso, gets it nice and cleanly with that jump. See if Vulajin manages to do the same once he gets there. Jiminy's going to be opting to try to pull this rock out. This is 3 seconds faster than pushing it in, as long as you get this cycle of the spinning arms of death, and it's consistent if your movement is good, so no problem there. Vulajin, also nice job up to the ability cell before Ginso, and he'll be going for the same thing, grab this teleporter, and head into the Ginso tree. Nice cutscene skip from Jiminy on the entrance to Ginso there.
Vulajin missed a dash glide over the swarm, so he opted to push the the rock in instead of pulling it out, which is apparently faster if you're not going to make it on that optimal crusher cycle.
Yeah, it's definitely better locally. You just have to remember that late in the game when you come back there that the rock is in your way when you get off the teleporter, and you're going to have to jump over it rather than do the movement you would do if the rock had been pulled out. I've definitely had a few runs where I've missed that cycle and had to push it in, and then dashed my face into the rock, and then wasted energy charge dashing into the rock before.
EloJimmini is having a pretty good run here so far. Apparently, he is minus 22 seconds off his PB entering Jinzo.
We have word from the truck that Vulajin may go for a dumb dash glide here, and he doesn't. He goes for the less dumb dash glide, so not risking falling to the bottom of the second Ginsa room, but, you know, it would have been exciting, I'm sure. Jimmini now waiting for this spitter to shoot. Vulajin's going to be catching up shortly, so almost on the same screen. Oh, hit from the spikes from Vulajin. I think he'll be okay, but now he's either at 1 health or 2 health. Either way, he's going to get one shot by anything in the mini-boss room. So that's going to be a little spooky. Slow spawn. I guess Jimmini must have missed one of the cues for the spawn here, because there's a really slow spawn in this mini-boss. And also note that he's pacing shots rather than spamming them. You're going to see Vulajin spam them. Why do people do it like this?
I think that they're close enough for humans that it pretty much comes down to preference. For a task, it's faster to spam them. But honestly, I just shot pace because I know that I can make, what is it, a 5 cycle with shot pacing. Actually, I have more problems making a 5 cycle with shot spamming. There are some instances where I spam though if like it's a place where I need to focus on movement. Oh no!
Oh, Vulajin, ouch! Fortunately, he did save after the mini boss, so it only puts him back basically half a screen. But rough death to take there. He's trying to not jump out of that vertical portal because it's faster to just land directly on the platform and dash rather than delay your landing on the platform. But when you don't quite get it right, then you have a little bit of a bad time. He'll be coming up on Bash soon. EloJimmini missed the redirect, so he's got to wait for another shot to make its way over here. A little bit of a crack in the armor for Vulajin to try to exploit, but I think the gap is widening just a little bit. EloJimmini's still on great pace. He's 24 seconds ahead of his PB at Bash.
Hello,
So
doing your key dupe setup ends up having his cursor too far right there and lands on the
two
edge.
ways to miss that, you definitely want to miss too far to the right than too far to the left, because one of them is slow and one of them kills you and is really slow. So we're looking at a difference of 36 seconds between these racers at Bash. Vulajin, as predicted, got a bit behind in the early game, so I guess he's been studying the matchup more than I had been. And he says he wants to make it up in the late game, so the 4 health in Misty should allow him to go through there more fearlessly. And we'll just see if he can pull off basically a good Sorrow. So that's where Vulajin is looking to strike. Ouch! That's a painful death right there.
Wow, I looked away. What happened to him?
He fell into the spikes. I think he was trying to just fall straight to the portal after this bash. He just did up, and yeah, or just missed the bash there or something. So he fell to the spikes there, but I'm sure that he rekindled after the key dupe, so could be worse, but still, you don't want to be taking those kind of deaths. So Jimmini is beginning the Ginsu escape. Vulajin now heading towards core skip. Bad experience drop means he has to drop to the platforms, but that'll happen. Random experience orbs are always a lot of fun. So we have news from the truck that both runners have had some struggles with the stomp split lately. We've seen some of it from Jiminy, just the miss on the redirector puzzle. Vulajin having a little bit more trouble with this split, but pretty good split from Jiminy so far. I'd say he's played quite well in this early game, and I know he was pretty tense about this match himself as well. So nice job fighting through the nerves from him and putting on a good performance. So what do you think, Het? Where is Vulajin's opportunity to catch up in this race?
The big most volatile areas are obviously Sorrow Pass and wow, that was close.
He didn't even. I don't think he even got hit. That was terrifying, though.
Nice heads up play there, opting to go through the teleporter after he realized he wasn't going to be able to make it up there.
Yeah, he really had to bail out far to the left there to not get too deep into the water there and just instantly die. No! Oh! No!
I'm amazed that he got that bash off at the very end there.
I had a glimmer of hope that he would get out. He was above the death plane. He was just taking the 1 damage hits, but he was just barely too deep in there, and that one really, really hurts. Death at the top of the Genso escape. Oh, man, that's rough. Alright, so Jiminy dropped a fair amount of time against his PB on this stomp split, so I actually must have completely missed something that went wrong, aside from just that redirect puzzle, because it was more than that. And note that both of these runners missed the Kuro cutscene skip in their previous race, so we'll see. Jiminy's coming up to it soon. What do you think? Is he going to get it?
That's a good question. If you play it safe and realize that your position is bad, you can always go for it on the second frog shot. So there's really he gets.
Oh boy! Oh boy! Well, he saved right there, so that's not too bad. But that was a nasty team up between the frog and the slime.
Yeah,
I like that position.
That
didn't work though.
Yeah, that position seemed good to me, honestly.
Yeah, and that actually looked completely perfect to me, so I could not tell you what went wrong with that, but he doesn't get the skip, so that's 17 seconds of watching an angry bird. We don't really care about that bird that much, though. Alright, Vulajin manages to pick up Stomp here, so he has a little bit of catch-up available if he can play this cleanly and get the Kuro cutscene skip himself, so we'll keep our eyes peeled for that. Jiminy coming up to Charge Flame now. And, okay, my stream died and then instantly came back to life. I might be a little behind, though, so let's just refresh this. Alright, I think we're good. So Jiminy grabbing Charge Flame now, Vulajin coming up to Drainless. Fairly large difference has opened up as a result, mainly of that death at the end to Genso escape from Vulajin. But we'll have to see how the late game goes, because it's very easy to get stuck in what we call infinites in Sorrow and Misty. That's
and it also looks like EloJimmini didn't opt to take the 5th energy cell, so he has 4 energy, 3 health at this point, which is pretty much the optimal amount of health and energy that you want to have, like if you're going for fastest strats. So he's not going to be able to really do any safety saves, and he'll of course be dying in 1 hit on any spikes from here on out. And Vulajin also missing the Kuro cutscene skip.
Yeah, so they're bringing our stats down on that one. Gosh darn it. Now we've got...
Vulajin also showing us the infamous trash batches.
The classic. That's when, controller bashing, your analog stick snaps back to a non-neutral position when you try to let it go neutral after a bash, and just throws your bash in a different direction. Looks like Vulajin also skipped the 5th energy here, so low safety from these guys.
Jiminy going for fast stomp list. It's interesting, he didn't go stop in a fixed spot before buffering the bash to shoot the shot at the rock. So that's probably part of the reason why he missed that fast stompless there.
Yeah, the setup for fast stompless is honestly pretty contrived, but it works. So it's it's something. But he's getting the stomp there. Interestingly, he doesn't place the save up top. It's a little bit faster. I didn't see if he made any safety saves in Valley, but if you didn't safety save in Valley, then it's nice to be able to save up top and level charge dash there, so that you have faster reattempts at Zero Bash. Although I guess, if you're used to getting fast stompless, nothing wrong with saving down here, getting charge dash down here, and then just getting your Zero Bash first try. But it will be opening him up for perhaps greater time loss if he doesn't get the Zero Bash because his save is further away. So we'll see how that goes for him. Vulajin's coming up on fast stompless himself, so some high execution tricks from both these guys coming out. So if there's going to be a swing in the race, now is prime time for it to happen. Surabash setup from Jiminy looking good so far. Bird is a tad low, but it's not too bad at all. And he's up there in one try, so never mind what I said about saving up top. You don't need safety saves if you get a first try. Do you think that's... Wow. That might or might not work for Vulajin. That shot looked very low to me when he bashed it, but he might have fixed it with the angle. And he did. Very nice. I didn't mean to keep talking over you there. Alright, so Vulajin making up some time by nailing fast stompless. In his last race, it took him 2 tries to grab Zero Bash. Jiminy did get it in 1 here, so Vulajin will clearly want to be getting it on the first try. Taking the save at the Spirit Well, I'm not sure if he made a safety save through Valley. I didn't pay close enough attention, but we'll see how this Zero Bash goes for him. So he's sending the frog over, he's got Charge Dash, and he's
that
up
was
to...
Weird. He bashed the frog to the right, and then when he did the rocket jump, he actually managed to go left. I'm not sure if I missed him dashing over to the... Okay, wow.
I just started doing that Zero Bash method. That's really neat, hey? 2 charge dashes.
Yeah, so what that method does is it actually kills the bird, and depending on your positioning, when you deliver a killing blow to something that you're bashing, the bash may or may not go off. It depends on really precise positioning of like where you hit it. So Vulajin, in order to, since it's not very easy to double bash on controller, in order to get rid of the necessity for manipulating 2 birds up there, he came up with that setup so that he could reliably kill the bird with 2 charge dashes, while still getting the bash to connect at the very end. And looks like it is working for him, because he attempted it in a race here and it was successful.
Yeah, it's actually worth noting that setup is faster than the traditional double bash setup, unless during the traditional double bash setup you get the bird to bounce off the wall so it's not stunned and dashes at you instantly, in which case they just come out even. So really nice from Vulajin pulling off that fast setup. I've honestly been thinking of switching to the double charge dash method myself, but I did it in a couple of runs, and then I died to it in 1 run, and I said never again, because I was attached to that one.
If the bird bounces off the wall and you bash him while he's in his recoil, it won't stun him and it'll dash you immediately. Is that how it works?
Yeah, there's certain animation where the bird has like just finished bouncing and is upright again, where if you bash him, he won't stun and he'll just you'll bash up with the double bash and you'll have to dash over to get under the roof in time because he's gonna charge you immediately. I think Hydra does it that way. I find it hard to get the setup for it though, so I've just kind of stuck with the old double bash method, but that'll be something to play around with, I'm sure. Or just, do the double charge dash version. But that's spooky too for its own reasons.
Yeah,
so, whoa! Get that cell. Okay, we're good. Just a little bit of a close call from Vulajin there, no big deal. Now note that through this late game, Jiminy's kept it together quite well. He's still 2 seconds ahead of his PB. Lost some time here and there along the way, but he is ahead of pace, so nice run from him. I can't... Oh, goodness gracious, Vulajin, don't die. Fortunately, he's accustomed to these backups from running vanilla and zero experience, so good adaptation there from him. After checking some spikes with his face, he found out that they hurt, and it's time to not be in the spikes anymore. But he's at 1 health here, so he's not at 1 health, he's at 3. Now he's at 1 health here. Did he not take damage when he charge dashed into the spikes? Ooh. Am I crazy?
I don't know. EloJimmini dying to the rocket jump coming out of the last keystone area. Luckily, he had a safety save right there.
Yeah. One thing to note is we were talking to these guys before the race, and I know that Vulajin is watching Jiminy's stream, so he knows that he's behind here. Jiminy, on the other hand, is not watching Vulajin, so that safety save was not an adaptation, but rather... Nice mini-boss from Jiminy, by the way, but rather just he wanted to place that safety save there. He's, you know, it makes sense because when you're doing Misty at 3 health, anything kills you. Any spike hit will kill you instantly, so having that safety save there is pretty wise.
Wow. So Jiminy just bashed that shot that was like right on top of the spikes almost. It was just barely past him. If you bash a shot that is actually overlapping hitbox with the spikes, it'll just teleport Ori inside that hitbox and just kill him. So he's pretty lucky that he didn't die there.
Yeah, I don't think he had replaced his safety save either, so he would have been back at the 4th key if that had killed him. Vulajin is a minute 30 behind Jiminy as of climb, but it's still perhaps possible, very difficult, perhaps possible for him to catch up if Jiminy makes some mistakes. So what could Jiminy do that would maybe let Vulajin back into this race?
Well, he could get, 30th try door warp.
We haven't yet managed to see one of those, but we did see an 18th try door warp in one of our tournament matches, which I believe is the record.
Nice.
Oh, having some difficulties with the Burt boss, but he manages to get the save down, so everything's good now. So no opportunity for catch-up for Vulajin on the way into Light Grenade. So basically all that's left, Jiminy has to get out of Black Group cleanly, and then he has to door warp, and then he has to do the escape.
I read his mouse movements early on. I can tell you he's gonna get 7th try.
Okay, so 7th try door warp for Jiminy coming up. That still leaves 23 more tries of door warp worth of time required for Vulajin to catch up. And Jiminy, he should know he's probably ahead. Like, even though he's not watching the stream, he is ahead of his PB. Or, 1 second behind his PB.
Fell in the laser pit there, almost got hit by the laser, jumped out, almost got killed by the Banelin explosion, goes back in and almost dies at the very end to the laser. Dude is living life on the edge right now.
Yeah, I think he was down to 1 health too, but he got a level up from the 100 orb there, which you don't always get. It depends on random enemy drops during the run, so he's back to full. He's at full energy, so looking pretty good for Jiminy. Well, a bit of a flub on the rocket jump, but it still takes him off there. That's nice. And yeah.
Yeah, I would say for this race to come back even, we would need to see some serious door warp tomfoolery or some fish death, multiple fish strat deaths.
Yeah, stomp cancel into the lava might do it for Jimmy as well, but doubt that that's going to happen. I don't know if he's even been stomp canceling all that much throughout the run, so no risk of that there. Just taking it safe up to Horu. Vulajin getting them. Whoa, boy, Vulajin. That's nearly fell back from the laser, but that's fine. He got the cycle skip there, though, so Vulajin knows he's behind, so he's pulling out all the stops to make up every little bit he can and maybe make a 28th try door warp be all that's required. So Het predicted the 7th try door warp. But Wow, that was quick. No opportunity for Vulajin to catch up there. Was that first or second try door loop? That was really nice. First try, yeah, in there. He's circling his mouse. He knows it. He is looking for a PB, looking for a win in this race, and Vulajin is striving to get to Horu, but his only chance of catching up right now is if Jiminy dies in this escape, and dies in this escape maybe several times.
Apparently, Elo has the potential for a 1 second PB here. He is +3 on his splits with 4 seconds to save. So he did get first try door warp. So we'll see. This may be.
He's gonna have to do fish strats then, right?
Oh, yeah,
Otherwise he can't PB. And he missed the double dash, so I think that's gonna kill the PB unless his gold doesn't have a first try door or perfect fish strats, but going for fish strats nonetheless, this could still kill him. Oh no! Oh, Kuro's up, his health's low. He got to the safe spot. He just has to bash up these rocks without taking damage, and he'll make it up and win the race, but the PB dying at the last moment. But he has done it. He's claimed a victory in his group, knocking out the original first seed Vulajin down to second place. Vulajin, all that is left is to show us how many times can you stomp cancel in this escape. How many times do you think he's going to stomp cancel? Let's take some bets. There's 2. There's 4.
I think that's it, right? No, there's one more. Yeah.
That's 5. I think he might try for some across this shooter area here. Oh dear, or he's in the fire. So okay, we already know he does 5 at the start. I think he's gonna try to fit in 2 more. So we'll go for 7 stomp cancels. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Managing to adapt to the. Oh wow, we're going further beyond. I lost count. That was a lot. I know Vulajin really loves the stomp cancels in the escape.
I'm not a big fan
of course, why not?
He's doing it without the double bashes.
I think he goes for the double bashes, but it's so hard to double bash on controller, so missing them does make sense. Now note that fish strats is just pure swag. If you don't hit the first double bash, you're instantly losing time because Ori swims so slowly. But in our hearts, it saves 7 hours. So both of these guys coming in with nice -6 hour and some amount of minutes times. So very, very well played from both of them. So that will do it for that race. Vulajin just holding right until he ends his last required input. Richard getting ready with the special restreamer version of this cutscene that we all do appreciate.
Dude, I love memes.
All right, so both of these guys putting on a very good performance in this race. I think they both crushed their original race performances. I know they were both practicing for this one. This was the matchup they were both looking at in their group and saying, this is the one I want to win. So both of them putting on a good performance. Unfortunately, really the story of this, in my opinion, was the death at the end of the Ginso escape from Vulajin.
Yeah, Ginso escape deaths, like, honestly, speedrunning wise, I would say that's one of the easiest places in the game, but in the early game, one of the most costly places to have a death, so that can pretty much set you off kilter for an entire run if you suffer a death in there. I know I've done it before in races.
Yeah, I'm definitely not a stranger to dying at the top of the Ginso escape myself. But yeah, rough death to take there. Really well played other than that. Like, I thought there was a good chance we were going to see an extremely close race at the moment where Vulajin caught up by hitting the God Cycle in Grotto, where Jiminy missed it. But then just a bit of spaghetti and then that death in the Ginso escape put him just too far behind to catch up. And Jiminy leaving no opportunity for Vulajin to get back in there. Just like first try on pretty much every trick. I mean, he'd miss pro cutscene skip, but that's not the biggest of deals. The difference was too great, I think, at that point.
So I think this pretty much cinches up this group for EloJimmini being first seed going into the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. So all we have to look at from there then is how are they going to seed among the first and second seeds. Now I believe neither of their race averages did very well amongst the first seeds, so they're probably looking at something between like 6th to 9th in the brackets for Jiminy, but those stats were from before the race, so now that their PBs or their race averages have improved, these nice performances they put on, that'll be different, so I don't even know what I'm saying. But yeah, nice races for both of them. Better than they had done in the past.
Yeah, I think Vulajin's first race, this is his second race in the tournament. His first was a 38, so improving his average by over a minute there.
Yeah, and I believe that puts him in a nice position among the second seeds. So their seeding in the tournament is actually not going to be that far apart. Like Jiminy somewhere between 6th to the 9th, most likely. Vulajin probably looking at 10th to 13th kind of area. So really, they're both going to be, in a favorable position in the round of 32, and I think the round of 16 as well. So let's look at what is coming up. I'm pretty sure we have other games coming up now. Let me just load the speed gaming schedule real quick. No, we don't. We have a 2-hour break. And then we have more Ori at 10 Eastern. And then more Ori at 11 Eastern. So nothing to lead us into it, but there's going to be more Ori later tonight. That's going to be myself playing against IceX, and then Fant playing against Cheese Lover. What do you think about those matches?
So let's see. Which seed is Ice in your group?
I think he's either second or third, but the second and third seeds in my group are have tied PBs pretty much, so it doesn't matter.
So I think you're definitely a clear favorite in that matchup. I don't know how far away are Fant and Cheese's PBs.
Let me get that up. I can figure that out. Alright, Cheese has a PB of 38.16 with a race average of 41.58, whereas Fant is somewhere on the spreadsheet. His PB is 42.56, so worse than Cheese's race average, but at those kind of PB times, Suro and Misty in particular can be quite volatile, so it'll be a harder matchup to predict, but Cheese will be favored in that one.